I'm Eva Maria Unger. I'm the current chair of the FIG Young Surveyors Network at the International Federation of Surveyors, called FIG.
Hi, I'm Mike Barry. I'm one of the directors of the FIG Foundation.
So we are going to describe on how to apply for the FIG Foundation Academic Research Grant and the PhD Scholarship. This is the first of 2 videos on how to write such a grant application to the FIG Foundation. And we are going to describe a 1-page proposal which you need for both. It is an objective of FIG to build research capacity and to support the future surveyors. So we will focus on the content of the academic research grant application and the PhD scholarship application. There are some differences, so you must read the documents, which you can find on the FIG website. Just go to the foundation menu and search for the grant you want to apply for. So, Mike, can you give us a good advice on how to write this 1-page proposal?
So first, read the documentation carefully and follow the instructions precisely. What do we mean by that? If the instructions say 1 page, then submit an application that is 1 page long. Ensure that your package is complete and that all the documents are there. Secondly, make sure that you qualify. If you do not qualify for a grant and then you apply for it, you're going to waste your time and the evaluator's time. For example, with the current academic research grants, if you live in Europe or work in Europe, you do not qualify, even if you are a national of a developing world country. Thirdly, start early. As a guideline, you should start working on the application at least 3 months before the submission date. If you start a day or 2 before the deadline, you have little hope of success. It is a long process, and you should be thorough in preparing your documentation. Fourthly, find a mentor. If you have little experience in writing grants, find an experienced professor with a good track record in attracting grant funding. Ask them for advice. Ask them to read through your application and give you some feedback on it. Fifthly, attend workshops, webinars and online videos and tutorials on how to write grant proposals. There's a wealth of material online on how to write grant proposals by experts and consultants in the area. Number 6, read up on how to write a grant application. There are links on the FIG Foundation documentation, but you can also find many of those with a Google search. Number 7, focus and emphasize what you are going to do. What do we mean by that? Prepare a focused proposal that has limited scope. We want to see what you are going to do on a particular research project. We are not going to fund someone who manages many different research projects but does very little of the work with themselves. We are also not going to fund an application where the project is driven by a number of collaborators from outside of your country. Number 8, know your audience and write your grant application in non-technical terms. The majority of the people who evaluate your application are unlikely to be experts in your field. Do not expect them to look up terms with which they are not familiar. Typically, you can expect a grant evaluation team to spend no more than 10 minutes on your full application. Number 9, get a team of readers to support you. Ask colleagues and friends to read your document. Ask them to reread it and reread it and reread it. And ask them to give you critical comments. They're not there to make you feel comfortable. They're there to help you get an application succeed and to present it to people who don't know you. Number 10, leave lots of white space in the application. Leave spaces between paragraphs and headings so that it is easy to read and it flows well. Do not cram information. A busy document is not easy to read and therefore may be passed over, even if the content of it is very good. Number 11, do not do things that may disqualify you. One of those is that you may not contact the directors of the FIG Foundation personally. So you may not contact me, for instance. You may contact the FIG office and they may pass on your message to the foundation. Okay, and lastly, number 12, if you do not succeed first time around, try again, and again if necessary. Often we do not succeed in getting a grant application through the first time around. If you do not succeed, get a mentor to read your grant application and see if they can give you some advice on how to improve it for the next application. Remember that you are in a competition with other applications. The criteria for awarding a grant are both the quality of the application, the potential impact, and need. Other people may have a greater need than you do.
I would suggest that we now have a look at the one-page application, and I first of all would like to have a look at the layout. So Mike, can you give us some advice on the layout of the one-page application?
First of all, look at the layout of the proposal. There's lots of white space, it's not crammed, and there's an equal amount of text assigned to each heading. Make sure you do that. Now let's have a look at some of the specifics.
Yeah, so I can see a research objective. So what should you state in the research objective?
Your research objective, you should state in a sentence or two the central objective of the research. This is what we would call a hook statement. Ideally, the objective should be something related to theory or design, i.e. a theory which explains or predicts, or a design description or a design theory. The activities that you carry out are not an objective. For example, if you state, I'm going to do a case study of an informal settlement, is not a research objective. However, if you say, I am going to design and test a new laser scanning technique, that is a valid research objective.
So, can we have a look at the example?
Okay, so what I've used in the example is an interdisciplinary study. In my experience, they're the most difficult proposals to write and some of the most difficult research to do. So let's look at the first statement. This study develops a general theory that explains the strategies that people use to transact in land. The situational context is peri-urban settlements in Gondwanaland. Then I've left a space, and then I've said the primary question examines how and why house buyers and heirs in these settlements choose to register or not register a transaction. So the first two lines are my hook statement. The study develops a general theory, and then I've looked at the context in which we're going to do the research. Most research starts with a question, so if we can state the primary question right under the research objective, that is what we know will drive the research. So that's one example, and it's one way of doing it. There are others, but that's one that works in this particular proposal.
So, and how is this related to the significance of the research? What should you state there?
Okay, significance of the research. Generally, we would state something like a problem statement, but not every research project addresses a problem. So it might be a problem, it might just be a case of improving a situation. So we want to know why this research is worth doing. What problem or situation does it address? And what are the practical applications of the research? We go from the general statement to some specific figures if we have them, to the problem that is a consequence. Then we talk about the problem that is related to the study that you're going to do, and then the need that you are going to address in general terms under what we call significance of the research or the problem.
So, and what should you state under the current state of knowledge and the room for improvement?
Okay, current state of knowledge, generally that would be the literature review, but your particular project might not have a literature review, or there might be other projects, so we talk about current state of knowledge. If you've done your literature review properly, you would say what is the existing theory in a particular field, or what are the existing designs, if you're looking at a technical project that is relevant to your particular research project. What aspects of existing theory are open to challenge or further development? So you might not develop a completely new theory, but you might be developing an existing theory and adding something to that.
So this is really important when you're speaking about the room for improvement.
Yeah.
Okay. So how should you describe the research methodology and the methods used for the research?
What you need to do is demonstrate that you've read up on all the research design and research methodology in your area, and demonstrate that you've written it up and shown that you know how you're going to apply it. You would then summarize that and draw that into this one paragraph that I have here. So you need to show what is the main approach to your research, what are the specific approaches you're going to do, how are you going to analyze it, and then how are you going to build theory out of that.
what should you state in the key contributions?
In general, we would say research is either to make life better or to improve our knowledge, and generally it's both. So it would be important for you to show both the practical application of your work and the theoretical contribution. As scientists, we're really interested in your theoretical contribution, but there's nothing as practical as good theory, so ideally you should be able to show both of these.
Okay, thank you, Mike, and also especially with the example, I think it really gives a valuable input. So, but I'm wondering, because it all sounds logical, so why does some applications still not succeed?
Okay, I think the first thing we would say there is people don't spend enough time preparing an application. You should really do a full application before you try and put it into one page. It is extremely difficult to put these into one page. So I gave some general pointers on what you should do when preparing an application. If you follow those, you should do well. Spend a lot of time on it, start early, make sure that your CV is accurate, and make sure that every single document is both accurate and filled out properly. One of the problems that we've had is applicants will do a very good job of 80% of the application and then perhaps give us a 100-page document from the university and expect the evaluators to read that. We won't. It's a bit like applying to your bank manager for a business loan. If you go to the bank and ask for a business loan, you have to give them a good business plan, you've got to justify it, you've got to give them proposed cash flows, and you've got to show that you've done due diligence and done your homework on it. You're asking the FRG Foundation for money. We want to make sure that our money is well spent and that you have done the work to show us that you are likely to succeed in this project.
So, talking about bank and money, that is a good link because you're also requesting a budget which you need to submit with the one-page proposal.
First of all, if we look at it, it says, what are you going to get from the FRG Foundation? What are you going to get from other grants? There are some sample areas where you would apply for money, like salaries, equipment, travel, and so forth. Fill in the ones that are relevant to your application. Then we want to know how you're going to apply the funds. What are you going to apply from the FRG Foundation, and what are you going to apply in that area from other grants? Part of the budget is the actual figures that you provide us, and remember it's a budget, but you should make sure that you've done your homework and looked at what actual costs are in the area. And then you need to explain the budget. So you've got one page to explain it. Make sure that you give us a good explanation. Do not just give it a page of figures and expect an evaluator who does not know you and does not know your project to understand what you mean by these figures.
Good. So I think we have covered a whole one-page proposal or application, and I think we really got also into the details. So thank you, Mike, and to all the applicants, success.
Yes, good luck everybody, and good luck with your research. Thank you.
Thank you.